Have you ever wondered how certain assets seem to drive the value of others? Well, new regulations could reshape the entire financial system. And today, we're going to explore Tether's significant impact on Bitcoin's price, how emerging regulations like MiCA and stablecoin regs here in the US are going to have an impact, and why XRP is becoming the bridge currency of the future. To kick things off, let's go over Tether. USDT, what it is, how it works, what it does, all those things. So if you're unfamiliar, Tether is a stablecoin pegged to the US dollar. It's backed by US treasuries and it's been audited. It does have some Bitcoin on the balance sheet, which also backs it. But its purpose is to provide stability in markets known for having wild fluctuations. So when people want to exit their positions, they move it into a stablecoin. Tether has been the safe haven for those traders over the past, about 8 years since it's been in existence. So it's super critical for all of crypto to have something like Tether that provides liquidity to the ecosystem. But here's where it gets interesting. Over the past few years, researchers have observed a very curious pattern. When new Tether is minted or issued, Bitcoin's price seems to continue to go up in correlation with that. That's not random. So when Tether mints new USDT and it flows into exchanges, this provides traders with fresh liquidity, and more liquidity means more buying, and more buying power means higher prices. So some of those studies that have shown this, it suggests that Tether's issuance actually has been used strategically to prop up Bitcoin's price during downturns in markets. We'll see if that's actually a thing or not, but just an interesting correlation. But whether or not you believe those claims, one thing is clear. Tether provides a huge driver for Bitcoin's price and the broader growth of crypto. So the question is, what happens when regulators start paying a little bit closer attention to Tether? Well, that's starting to happen now. And we have MiCA, which has come out in the EU. It is Markets and Crypto Asset Regulation, a groundbreaking framework from the European Union, and it brings regulation to almost all of crypto, but specifically stablecoins. And Tether is right in its sights. They've removed Tether's capability to transact on all of the exchanges over there in Europe. And we've got some here in the US that are starting to do the same. We had conversations with MasterCard earlier in the year. They've completely de-risked from Tether. So there's something going on there. And now we have those regulations there that are going into effect. And now we have the US looking to issue their own regulations and taking a lot of that framework here into the stablecoin regs that are, potentially going to be passed sometime this year. So for Tether, this could be a big problem. Imagine having to prove that every single one of the USDT that's in circulation is actually backed by US dollars or cash equivalents, which they haven't been able to do yet. And we know that there is a portion of their backing that is Bitcoin. This is a big shift. And like I said, it's not just in Europe, it's here in the US and globally. So this kind of oversight could legitimize stablecoins in the eyes of institutional investors, potentially unlocking billions in new investment. But it could also slow down innovation and make it a little bit harder for most players to enter the space if you don't have the ability to buy the backing, U.S. treasuries and cash equivalents to be able to stand up your own stablecoin, like Ripple is doing. So with stricter regulations, it could help things, but it could also hurt new players from entering the market. So let's talk about XRP. Unlike a stablecoin, XRP isn't pegged to fiat currency. Instead, it's designed to bridge the different currencies, enabling fast, low-cost cross-border transactions. This means it's incredibly valuable in the world of international payments and can take days and costs off of all of those transactions. Ripple is one of the main companies using XRP and has developed a service called On-Demand Liquidity, which they've been using for the past 4 years, providing that service to institutions and enterprises that want to send cross-border payments, eliminating the need for banks to hold large reserves of foreign currencies. So if you didn't want to hold your Turkish lira to be able to settle there because of the hyperinflation that they've seen, or the Argentinian peso, or the Zimbabwe dollar, all those things, people have been like, I don't really want to touch that. And so this has allowed them to be able to settle into those jurisdictions without having to hold an account or currency in those nations to be able to settle. As more financial institutions adopt ODL, they will need XRP for those transactions. Well, they could use Ripple's ODL and rent the XRP, or they could just hold their own. And so in doing that, if we have stablecoins and they're issuing stablecoins and they're needing the XRP to be able to bridge that to other people, it could really drive demand a lot higher for that. And this it's not just a possibility, it's already happening. We've seen Ripple partner with huge players like Santander and SBI Holdings to be able to use ODL for that purpose. And I'm confident that some of these larger players hold some XRP themselves. So what else do we have? Well, the XRP Ledger or the XRPL isn't just a blockchain. It's a powerful platform designed for speed, efficiency, and security. And now we have digital identity that's native to the network. So with that just continues to foster people wanting to adopt the technology because they can do KYC, AML, all the stuff that you need for those types of transactions. We've seen, Ripple and other companies like R3 take this to governments overseas. We've got a lot of companies and, like I said, governments trialing it for stablecoins. If it's a government, they're going to be looking at a CBDC. Japan is in the pilot phase for their CBDC that they're rolling out. So, but why is any of that important? Well, like we said earlier, Tether has caused the price of Bitcoin to go up. You could see something very similar for XRP if we did get some of these stablecoins and CBDCs issued on the network. Like I said, there are several countries already exploring and piloting CBDCs on the XRPL. And then, you've got small nations like Montenegro and Palau that have done this. And then you also have G7 nations like Russia and Japan, which see blockchain as a way to reduce dependency on traditional financial systems and the US dollar. With Ripple issuing their stablecoin, RLUSD, they're going to be replacing Tether in their payment flows in more liquid jurisdictions like between the US and the EU and the UK, where they settle with the pound or the euro, or both sides want to accept USD. Well, now they have RLUSD to be able to do that, and they no longer need to use Tether for that purpose. So with them doing that, I view that as kind of like the pilot for things. I think that Ripple themselves, because they do want to foster the use of the XRP Ledger, they've done this as a pilot so that others can kind of follow behind them, especially, when stablecoin regulations kind of come into effect here in the US. Some of the players that I think might do that are people that have digital wallets already associated with their products. So you've got Apple Pay, you've got Google Pay, Amazon has international people that they have to pay, you've got PayPal. All of these large corporations need to be able to settle into multiple jurisdictions and provide money transmitter services or payment services to their clients. So for me, that's a big sign that I think they may leverage the XRPL in order to issue their stablecoin. And like I said, I think they're going to follow in Ripple's footsteps in doing that. Every time one of these corporation stablecoin is minted or a transaction is processed, XRP could be used to provide liquidity for all those transactions. And this could create huge constant demand, driving the value of XRP up more and more as more companies join the network. So Ripple and R3, like I mentioned earlier, are building bridges between the corporate world and the blockchain technology, and XRP is the toll they'll all have to pay and use. So what does this mean for XRP's value? I think it's very apparent at this point. It's going to skyrocket if we do see an adoption at scale for the minting of stablecoins on the network. Tether has already shown how a single stablecoin can influence an entire crypto market. So now imagine the amount of stablecoins being issued on this network and the amount of liquidity that would move in and how quickly that could potentially drive price. So the world of finance is completely changing, and those that stay informed have the best chance of success. From Tether's influence on Bitcoin to XRP's potential bridge currency, the opportunities are enormous. But as always, you need to do your own research and make informed decisions. So if you found this video helpful, please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. And what do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Will XRP's role in the financial system drive its value to new heights? And until next time, stay curious and stay ahead of the curve.